Hello there. Welcome to another talk. Uh, I just took my supplements, and some, the morning. I don't actually know what time it is. I think it's about 7, 8ish, maybe. Can't see the time on here as I'm doing this talk because I can just see the picture that I'm talking over. But this talk is a talk I've been trying to do for a few days. I've had it planned for about a week, at least. And it's called Talk on Spiritual Awakening, Third Eye and Pineal Gland Activation. Now, what happened to me was, if you're on Twitter or anywhere, and let's say you've just saw my website and you've went on and you're watching this talk, because all my talks are, my videos and my main talks are always on the front of my website and also on my videos page at the top. But if you've just come across this, I had an unexpected spiritual awakening at the age of 24. And I'm 34 this year on October 22nd. So nearly 10 years. And for years, I'm not going to go off topic, but I thought that I maybe had a soul switch or something because my personality changed. I felt differently instantly as soon as I had the awakening. And for years I had this theory about soul switching, and but I'm not going to dive into that today. But this is something that a lot of people believe, and people think that when people have spiritual transformation, this is what's happened, that the old soul has maybe went to heaven. But back on the topic at hand. At the age of 24, I had this spiritual awakening. And the awakening was so deep. I was depressed, and I didn't have the best. I mean, people have said to me before, you've not had the best of starts in life, and I didn't. I struggled growing up at school. I didn't really see eye to eye with my parents, my family. And it got to a point at 24. It made me make a decision, and I sat down one day and had enough. And I guess in a way I showed my true colours, and I started to see that I was a better guy than I thought I was, because at that a lot of people don't do anything. A lot of people just kill themselves or take drugs or alcohol, but I chose to level up, and so I've got a lot more respect now for myself. And maybe that's one of the reasons why I haven't had a day of depression since the age of 28. I've had days here and there. I've had the darker clouds, but I haven't had any depression. See, depression is like this fit that you go into, emotional state where you're locked into it. If you've had depression, you'll know that, and it can take you days, even a week for me. When I used to have it, to get out of it. I couldn't even take drugs or drink alcohol when I was like that. And I haven't had that since the age of 28. I've been upset at people. I've been upset with the world or what's going on, but it never goes into that state. It's like my brain now just refuses to go into that state. And yes, I had the awakening 24, but it took till 28 to get over depression. And I'm 33 now, 34 my birthday, as I said earlier. But the awakening was so deep that it triggered off third eyes, and I never had. My mum and my grandma on my mum's side had psychic abilities and mediumship abilities, all that sort of stuff. I never had that. But after the spiritual awakening, I started to gain abilities. Third eye, I started to have insight and intuition, a lot of clarity about stuff, and like you're constantly getting information now. And the reason that is because what's happened is the pineal gland has been activated via the spiritual awakening. It only needs a trigger, and then that triggers off all the other energies. You see, you need the trigger for the chakra system to awaken, and then align. And the pineal gland, they say, is a little nut in everyone's head that everyone has in brain, and it's a receiver transmitter that receives information from what I call oversoul. And oversoul is a name I heard from someone else. And oversoul is supposed to be the middleman between you and source or heaven. And so you've got heaven, Jesus, and if you believe in that, or in heaven, source, and then you got the middleman's oversoul, and so that's why the pineal gland exists, so that oversoul can give you knowledge. And then it also is a regulator for serotonin and melatonin, night and day. So it means that eventually when you're working with the pineal gland, you can feel euphoria in every waking moment. So it means that you can have, like, when you sleep, your sleeps are no longer just sleeps at nighttime. They're like, I know power sleep is something that people associate with during the day, but it's like your sleep is a power sleep now when at nighttime. Your sleep is kind of euphoric, because deep sleep is euphoric sleep. And when you get up, you feel full of energy, inspired, and your energies are changing, but it's euphoric, excuse me, and bliss. And the reason the bliss is always there, because that's what the pineal gland offers you. Different types of ecstasy, euphoria. And it's also associated with the third eye. But the real third eye is the pineal gland, because that's the thing that's receiving the real knowledge. And how does one do this? Well, you have to have a spiritual awakening. There's all different ways to have an awakening, though. I went through an awakening process, and what I do here is just give it how I received it, how I went through it, in the hope that it can awaken others. And if it has awakened me, then I can't see why it shouldn't awaken other people. And and so how do you awaken? Well, you can use presence, you can use mindfulness, meditation. This is all stuff that I do. Eckhart Tolle talks about the focus on the inner body and meditate on that. One of the things that became apparent in my awakening was before I knew what shadow work was. Someone told me it was called that. I found it through the internet. That when I had an awakening, a few years into it, I'm guessing maybe over 5 years, I started to, everything became like a mirror, like one. It was like a one thing. And when you look from that perspective, you heal yourself. Because we all have inner narcissism. We all have narcissistic triggers, right? This is everyone. Because we live in a narcissistic society, right? So the best narcissist to focus on is your inner narcissist. So when you get triggered, at that moment, go focus on the inner body, as Eckhart Tolle says. The inner self. The inner body is the inner self. And as soon as you get that trigger, focus, meditate on that, and then you'll feel the subconscious issue that made you get triggered. And so what you're doing in that moment, you're doing instant hypnosis. It's like it's like instant hypnosis. You're instantly going, because the point of hypnosis is to go into the subconscious mind. But when you are present at the moment of your trigger, you're instantly doing that same thing without doing a long hypnosis session. So that's how you heal these. And that's another way how you can spiritually awaken. You see? People say that people that have had spiritual awakenings are, some of them have said like they're chosen or anything, but in actual fact we're all chosen. I never had this awakening for that. I just had enough. I had enough. Sat down one day and had enough, and then the awakening manifested. So it's to do with you. We can choose to do whatever we want. A councilman came to my door yesterday and asked me to wear a mask in my own house because he was doing work in my house. I didn't do it. And he went away. I don't care. But that's not the masks and that stuff isn't the core of the problem. The core of the problem is narcissism, because it's narcissistic politicians that enforce all this. So by focusing on that, you can that's another way to spiritually awaken. You know, ultimately, when you have enough, that's what happened to me. That's when I had the spiritual awakening. I didn't know what it was called, or if it was called a spiritual awakening. I didn't know. But that's ultimately when it manifests. And then that's when everything starts to align. When you do that, when you're heart-based, that's another way to spiritually awaken. Presence, which is the same thing. And heart-based healing, heart-based living is a thing where science, it's science, where they've actually proved through living from your heart you can heal everything, and you connect with other people when they choose to do that also. And this is also, you can basically align by doing this. And also when you're doing that, you'll actually want to eat different things, you'll want to consume different things, and this also is good medicine for the pineal gland. What we consume, the foods, makes a difference and has an effect. You see, like I use non-fluoride toothpaste. Fluoride, they put that in the water, and the starch as well. But this all starts by, it's a different mindset. When I spiritually awaken, the mindset change, and that changes everything, because everything comes from the mind. Ultimately, the subconscious mind, the psyche, which leads to the soul. You see? But you can rip up the script, the soul contract, whenever you want. Right? You can change things. You can do that. It's like my hand. My mum's a palmist, and my hand's meant to be this very shy, insecure person. And now I'm not like that. But I was before my spiritual awakening. Because I chose to rip up the script and go right to source. And then that started activating everything. And that's how I've been noticing lately that I'm getting up really early, I'm feeling great, and my day's becoming regulated now. A lot more. And but it all began from the spiritual awakening. And so that's what you've got to get. Do you know there's a PhD in spirituality, but it can't get you a spiritual awakening? Which is ridiculous. The only qualification is a spiritual awakening. That's what everyone goes and seeks. That's what they all go on Eckhart Tolle courses for. And that's what it's all about. And all these different techniques I've mentioned, you can. This is the way I've done it. See, I had the awakening because I had enough. And ultimately having enough will awaken you, if you mean it. Because God's source is there if you want to listen. If you want that source to come through you, it will do it. But if you don't, if you think you can do better, then God will let you do that as well. But I'm just going to leave it there. For latest updates and talks and news, research, I sing songs as well, and do all different kind of stuff. Talk about all different things. My website, you can check my website at www.lovelightfamily.com. Thank you.